Boba Fett was one of the most infamous and dangerous bounty hunters during the Imperial era, with him being Darth Vader's go-to hunter during the Galactic Civil War. So when Boba was not tracking down a target or bringing one in to his client, what did he do in his free time? While growing up on Kamino, young Boba was given access to most of the facilities on the water world as a privilege of being Jango's chosen son. As such, while his father was busy overseeing the training of the future clone army or taking bounties too dangerous for his son to come with, Boba was known to spend much of his time reading books and datapads borrowed from the library on Tipoca City. Much of what he read centered around starfighters, including how they worked and tactics used for space battles. Following Jango Fett's death on Geonosis, Boba Fett was left completely traumatized, with the memory of his father's demise haunting him for many years to come. Once he became a successful bounty hunter as a young man, he spent much of his free time with Zeltron and Twi'lek woman. He likely spent most of his off time on the planet Zeltros, a party-filled world with every imaginable entertainment establishment, with the local authority going out of its way to ensure every visitor was having a good time. Although these early bounty hunting years brought a life that many his age could only dream of, it appeared that a lot of these things were done not purely out of pleasure, but to distract himself from Jango's death. No matter what he did, he could not forget Jango, as every time he looked into the mirror he saw his father's face. Despite this early success as a bounty hunter, Boba realized that he wanted a different life, a normal, peaceful one. He eventually fell in love with a woman named Cintas Vel, and the two of them got married, with Boba being 16 and her 18 at the time. The two of them settled on the planet Concord Dawn, a world within Mandalorian space. Trying to commit to his new life, Boba gave up bounty hunting and instead joined the local law enforcement agency, known as the Journeyman Protectors. A year into their marriage, the young couple had a daughter named Aelin. A few years went by as normal, until one day, a well-connected officer within the Journeyman Protectors sexually assaulted Cintas. Fearing embarrassment, as well as what her husband would do in retribution, she kept it a secret. However, Boba eventually found out, and he ended up killing the man who attacked her. As a result, he was exiled from Concord Dawn. His relationship with Cintas also fell apart, as he felt he couldn't trust her anymore, with him even doubting that Aelin was his own daughter. The two got a divorce, with Cintas remaining with Aelin on Concord Dawn, while Boba returned to his life as a bounty hunter. Although they separated, they eventually were able to forgive one another, with Boba later in his life coming to protect his former family from an assassination plot. As a bounty hunter again, Boba likely returned to his life of partying and being a ladies' man. He eventually became close with a fellow bounty hunter named Zasha. They went on some missions together and lived on Nar Shaddaa. Despite being a successful bounty hunter again, however, both Boba and Zasha were always out of money, likely from them spending it all on a very luxurious lifestyle. Due to their financial troubles, Zasha used other means of attaining money, including selling stormtrooper armor on the black market, which Boba disliked, as doing so went against Imperial law. Eventually, she sold his own DNA behind his back to the Empire, who were seeking to use it for their cloning experiments. Boba soon discovered this, and although we don't know what happened to Zasha afterwards, they likely went their separate ways, as Fett felt that she betrayed him. Boba continued bounty hunting throughout the height of the Galactic Civil War, only taking a short break to recover from his injuries from the Sarlacc. About 23 years following the destruction of the first Death Star, Boba was sent on his final bounty hunting mission to kill a man named Fenn Shysa, who was the current Mandalore at the time. Though the exact details of their confrontation are unknown, it is said that Fenn Shysa sacrificed himself to save Boba, with his dying wish being for Fett to become the next Mandalore. Boba honored this, ending his long career as a bounty hunter and becoming Mandalore, leading the Mandalorians against outside threats from that point on. Around this point in his life, Boba became very puritanical, devoting his life as ruler of Mandalore, and no longer living the pleasure-filled life of his younger years. As he reached his 70s, Boba had a private residence on the planet Taris, where he publicly walked around without his armor or helmet, a rarity, as before most outside of his inner circle never saw his real appearance. While he continued his duties as leader of Mandalore, and even went back to bounty hunting at times, Boba spent most of his off time at this point attempting to extend his natural lifespan, finding a suitable person to succeed him as Mandalore, and mentoring his granddaughter Murta Gev following her mother Island's passing, who Boba buried alongside Jango's body after retrieving it from Geonosis with his granddaughter's help.